What's up, y'all? 52 Peaks, Week 8, the show where we take another car up America's mountain, Pikes Peak, International Hill Climb, every week in Assetto Corsa. Now, here's the problem with that. This is America's mountain. America. And we haven't done an American car. We did the American version of the NSX, but I felt like we needed something a lot more freedom. That's right, the C6 Corvette ZR1. This is probably my favorite Corvette of all time. Now, of course, given that there's only like 5,000 of these things made and they cost over $100,000, I've never actually driven one. But that's where the sim comes in. Let's get into the lap and I'll explain a little bit more. 3, 2, 1. Traction control doing a lot of favors for me right there. We are going to leave traction control on. I did something I don't normally do for these videos and did some practice laps. Not on Pikes Peak. This is a fresh drive of this road in this car, but I knew I would need a little bit of practice in this car. Oh, it sounds so good. In order to make sure I don't bin it terribly thousands of times. And yes, traction control is on because we have over 630 horsepower at our disposal, over 600 foot-pounds of torque, coming from that supercharged LS9, I believe was the designation. I should have got that right. Now, over 600 horsepower out of a Corvette in modern times doesn't seem that crazy. But you have to remember this car came out in 2009. I was just really starting my career in automotive at that time. Had just gotten out of college not long before that. And this was, 2008 financial crisis. This was 2009. This was when GM was getting bailed out by the government. The fact that this car even exists is kind of amazing. It was GM really trying to legitimize the Corvette. The C5 was a great Corvette, but they wanted to be players on the world stage. Once again, this is kind of the time of the Nürburgring battles between Porsche and Nissan with the GTR. GM wanted in on that. And they came out swinging with the most insane Corvette I think they have ever built. Yes, I know the C8 is out now, and they're doing crazy ZR1 stuff with that. But the leap that this thing took from the Z06 to the ZR1 is immense. Honestly, with traction control, and once you start to realize what kind of car this is, that was horrible. What was I doing there? It's not too hard to drive, but you have to really watch yourself. When you watch that little traction control light down in the bottom, you'll see it lighting up in all sorts of circumstances as we do this lap. You definitely got to treat that throttle with some respect, because the Michelin Pilot Sports that this thing came with just aren't quite up to the task of putting all that power down all the time. This thing is crazy fast though. This is gonna be a damn good lap time. Now, one of the reasons I really love this car is, well, remember, early 20s, very early 20s was when this came out. I was, pretty able to be influenced by media, for sure. That's the time where you're most influential. And I was a JDM car guy, for sure. but I grew up with Chevys and Fords and Dodges. I grew up in the thumb of Michigan, where, you know, import cars didn't exist. It was kind of forbidden fruit. That's why I think I grew to like them. But I still always loved my muscle cars, and this thing was just, it was America to the core of just big power in a just cheap package. Listen, I know this is a $100,000 Corvette, and I know they did their best to make it, you know, not a cheap car, but at the end of the day, sorry, the Corvette is a cheap car comparatively to other cars in this spectrum. I mean, look at this interior. Look at this dashboard. Anybody who's driven a Trailblazer or a Suburban knows that, like, blue Corvette font right there. Like, that... Oh, a little too much. Getting ahead of myself there. Saved it, though. We're good. Traction control just saving my ass a lot. Yeah, it is an upgrade from a C5 Corvette, for sure, but it is still a Corvette at the end of the day. But it doesn't matter. You're not in this car for a luxury experience with Italian leather and shit. You're in this car because it is brutal. Now, in retrospect, something I didn't realize at the time, this was really a transitional Corvette for GM. Like, this thing has carbon ceramic brakes, carbon fiber bonnet, I believe, if you will. I don't know why I call it a bonnet, it's a hood of America. This is America time. And yeah, using exotic materials in their process of building this thing. And I think this was really the car that showed that GM wanted to leave the mullet Corvette. Think of like your C3 Corvettes, you know? That's what the Corvette was. It was just this brutal, big V8 sports car. Brakes. Carbon ceramics coming in handy for sure in this lap. The C3 is what the Corvette was, and the C8 is what it became. This is the in-between. This still feels like a muscle car. It's not so much as like an older Mustang or something as far as point and shoot, but it is very much still point and shoot. Be careful around the corners. You know, you just kind of idle around the corner and then give it gas in a straight line. I will say, as comparison, I did also drive the C7 that comes with this game, and that even felt more like a sports car than this. This just feels way more muscle car-y. Granted, it's making a lot more a lot more horsepower than the C7, and costs more money. See, brought it back. Come on. But yeah, this thing is just a monster. And honestly, my favorite corner to crash on. Hopefully our alignment's still good. Carbon ceramics didn't save us that time. Car still feels fine, so we're good. Still gonna count the lap. I will put an asterisk next to it because it was a crash lap. Doing pretty good though. Honestly, this car drives pretty well, but yeah, your braking points come up a lot faster than you think just because of how much horsepower this thing has. Top speed of 205, we aren't going to touch here at all. But that 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, supposedly, we're definitely touching that a lot in this lap. You know, one thing I did like too about the GM in this? Same thing with like what Ford did with the Focus and Fiesta STs, manual only. You want this thing? You better drive stick. We ain't placating to the lazy crowd. And that's what I mean too, is that it was also kind of, I feel like, oh my God, a transition to the new Corvettes, the new C8s. The new C8s are not old man cars anymore. You know, the Corvette was always this like old man car where it's just, yeah, it's a sports car, but it's for your dad who wears New Balance shoes, a little overweight, you know, and this was like, no, you better be a sports car driver in order to be able to do this. This thing's gonna have a brutal lap time, isn't it? It was considerably faster in my testing than the C7 Corvette. Now, once again, it is making a couple hundred more horsepower than the base C7, so it better be, but that doesn't necessarily mean good lap times, you know? Oh wow, we're getting close to the top already, and it's already 9 minutes. As long as I don't bin it, we'll be looking pretty. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I was reading some reviews and stuff, going back, trying to remember the C6 and the acclaim that it got when it first came out. And I am shocked. Nobody in any of the articles mentioned the fact that maybe a company that's going bankrupt and getting bailed out by the citizens of its own country, you're welcome, GM, we own you, by the way, should be producing something like this. Oh, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of glad they did. I do love there's a documentary on the making of this thing that makes it all like, oh, it was a covert operation within GM known as the Blue Devil. It's like, guys, it's not like, this wasn't some skunkworks fucking operation where the CEO didn't know what you were doing. Sorry. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were chasing Nürburgring times. Because that's where all the headlines were at the time. I was actually really worried about driving this car because of my test laps. Carbon ceramics, do your love. Oh, I love you. Ooh. It kept doing that. Second gear, you just like feather the throttle. There's so much torque thanks to that supercharger that I kept spinning out. And I know there's a lot of, you know, this whole course is a lot of second and third gear corners. So I knew at the time it was going to be a struggle, but traction control is definitely saving me. Oh, this is going to be a good lap. Come on, across the line. 11:16. All right, 11:16. I actually have my notepad here with our lap times. I don't have the NSX on there though, so what's that put us at? Well, that does put us. It's actually slower than I anticipated. The GTR beat this thing by a significant amount. I was expecting a little faster, and I bet if I wasn't yammering, I could probably take 10-ish seconds off of this, but it'd be kind of hard, I think, to break the 11-minute barrier. But that's, I mean, we didn't even beat the 911 with all the crashes that we did. And I felt like that was a pretty clean lap. But that goes to show, I think, how much time we've lost in the corners. The thing is, with the GTR and the 911, they are more real sports cars, if you will. Where, like I said, the ZR1 C6 is still a muscle car. It's still kind of point and shoot. And on a course like this, on the hill climb, I mean, the whole road is corners. There's barely any straights. There's barely any place we can really let this thing shine. And on a real racetrack, if you will, with lots of straights, lots of high speed sections, it might be a different story, but that's what's really cool about racing this mountain. At the end of the day, horsepower isn't everything, just Corvette shows. It makes a lot of power, but it can't quite put it down like the Porsche or the GTR can. GTR, of course, has all-wheel drive. The Porsche, I don't remember that. I don't think that one was all-wheel drive, but it just puts the power down so much better. Corvette, at the end of the day, is a muscle car. Point and shoot, and it is super fun. And if anything, this test drive reinforced my idea that the C6 ZR1 is my favorite Corvette. But, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the fastest thing out there. So that's going to do it for us today. Let me know in the comments what else you want to see us drive up this mountain. It is America's mountain, so we're going to be doing some more American cars. I'm going to make sure not to neglect that. But I got a whole slew of things lined up. Some interesting stuff, some fun stuff. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you see when these videos come out. Once a week, 52 Peaks, that's the whole deal. But until next time, y'all, peace.